I'm just saying I've had that problem. Now I don't have that problem, and here's what I did differently. You say you have a successful kids ministry. Okay, how do you know? What does that mean? And I told them, set something on fire. Welcome to Kids Ministry Sucks. We're going to talk about some of the issues in kids ministry and ideas to make your kids ministry better, stronger, and more effective. So first, I guess I should explain the purpose of where this came from, this idea of kids ministry.
Yeah, we need an origin story.
Okay, here's my hopefully not a villain origin story.
Hopefully not.
But it's the origin story. So I've been doing children's ministries for about 33 years. I started when I was 18 years old. I had recently become a Christian, and I thought that being a Christian meant you told other people about Jesus. I thought that's what being a Christian was. I wasn't really good at talking to adults, so I immediately sort of gravitated towards children's ministry. I really poured myself into learning how to do it. I read all the books, I've seen all the videos, and I got pretty good pretty quickly. I had the opportunity to travel all over the country, doing children's ministry, doing street outreaches with kids ministries. I worked in New York City for about 12 years with a very large children's ministry, inner city children's ministry up there. I used to joke that you could take me anywhere in the world, and all I need is a whistle and a candy bar, and I can get 1,000 kids to sit still and listen about Jesus. It's true.
One candy bar.
One candy bar. Here's the funny part. I've done it. I've actually done, not with 1,000, but I have done it with 300, 400 kids, where they were out. One time at Christmas in New York City, I'm doing a thing called Sidewalk Sunday School. It's outside. It's in Coney Island. It's freezing cold. Yeah. And our truck that we had broke down. So no sound system, no anything. So we walked to this park where we did it. We had about 400 kids show up. And it's just us standing in the freezing cold. All I had was a whistle and some poster board and a couple people that were helping me. No candy, no anything. But doggone it, we had a whole Bible lesson. Just people holding poster boards. We sang worship songs, 400 kids. So I've done everything twice. Nothing, you can't scare me anymore. But the past few years, I've been working exclusively with churches. I'm actually the children's pastor here at Crossover Church in Tampa. And I have a heart for doing kids ministry. But I think that there are some harsh realities about children's ministry that we tend to gloss over in kids ministry.
Okay.
And we need to face them head on and just be very real about where our children are at, where kids ministry is at. I think for me, the moment that really kind of shook me up after, again, traveling all over the country, working in all these places, and after a while you almost get tired of people saying, "You're so good at that." And it's nice to be told that, but after a while you're like, "Okay, it's great," but your ego starts to get your head starts to get a little big. You start thinking, I'm really good at this kids ministry thing.
I do nothing wrong.
Yeah, right. I'm the best. I read all the books. I know all the techniques. I used to study under some of the best children's leaders, I'd say, in the world, and I would imitate everything they did. But a few years ago, I received a message on Facebook. And it was from a former kid who came to one of the kids ministries I used to run back in the day. They're grown up now. They're an adult. That's the benefit of doing kids ministry long enough. If you keep feeding them, they will grow. So they're an adult now, and they messaged me. I'm deliberately not trying to give any clues to who they are because I don't want to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm on YouTube. I don't know who's, I don't want to put them on the spot, but they are not doing well. This was several years ago, and they were telling me now this was a kid who had been one of the helpers in the kids ministry. If you've done kids ministry for a while, certain kids kind of gravitate to becoming the helpers. They help with whatever.
Yeah, here we call it junior activators.
We call it junior activators here. Yeah. But they kind of help run the program, and you raise them up in leadership. This person was one of those. Oh. I knew their family very well. I had spent time in their home. We had done Bible studies together. And now they're reaching out to me. They're an adult. So after we got through the initial, "Hey, Pastor Marty, what's up?" and we're, all that stuff. "Hey, how you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while.
After catching up.
How's the family?"
Yeah.
They start telling me how they've basically lost faith. They don't really believe in God anymore. They don't go to church, and that kind of hurt. You know what I mean? As a kids minister, this is one of my kids. And I go, you start questioning. Maybe they didn't listen to what I said, or maybe what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And so I started looking up some of the other kids that I knew that were now adults. And
So you just Facebook stalking at this
I
point?
was early So I'm dating myself a little bit. This is early Facebook stalking.
Okay.
So Facebook was the main one back then. And so I'm looking them up, and there were a few doing well. Still working, still going to church, still talking about Jesus. But there were many more that weren't.
Did you do the math to see what's the ratio?
I didn't do the math so much, but there was many more that were not still following God than were.
Gotcha. Okay.
Some that were doing very. I don't want to go into the gory details of some of it, but
like life.
But yeah, but some of them were really into drugs, really into promiscuous lifestyles, things that not Christian by any stretch of the imagination. And I talked to a few of them, but you start questioning. I did everything I was supposed to do. I did all the kids ministry stuff. Did I mess up? You start questioning, because I think that's something that all of us need to do, is stop and ask, okay, we know what we're doing, but we never stop and go, okay, but am I as effective? Am I really doing the best I can do? Or have I just found a nice, cruising altitude of being good at what I'm doing?
What are you saying, I just fall into routine?
It becomes like a routine.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to do kids ministry. I do it all the time. I'm going to go preach. We're all going to pray, and we're going to cry, and we're going to do all this stuff. And but am I really you just start questioning everything. And as I started doing that, I started really questioning. I started discovering some things, some ideas that I started incorporating into my own ministry that started radically changing things, started changing how the kids approached what we were doing. Some of it was very counterintuitive. It went against some of what I'd always been taught to do in kids ministry, but it worked. Some stuff I learned the hard way. Some stuff, the techniques and things that I do now, people see what I do now and they go, wow, how'd you get so good at that? And I go, well, I've made every mistake you could make 4 or 5 times each, and I've just kind of learned what not to do. And so you learn, you get good at something because you go, well, I'm not making that mistake again. You just start to find the path that works. And so then I start joining like online forums for children's pastors. I start talking to other ministers. And I want to say this from the outset. Children's ministers, people who minister to children in churches and who do children's outreaches and kids ministers in general, are some of my favorite people. They're the most sincere, they're the most dedicated, the most hardworking. I've never met anybody who does kids ministry either in a church or in an outreach ministry who doesn't have an absolute God-given passion and drive for what they do. So I want to say that from the outset, because I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing Christian, kids ministry leaders at all, teachers. I think that's not what I'm saying.
So you're saying there's room for improvement?
I'm saying there is room for improvement, and there are some, because what I would start to do, I'd see somebody would have certain issues they'd bring up in the group and online, and it would be an issue that I'd solved, that I'd encountered and tried a couple different things, and I figured out stuff that really worked, so I'd tell them, here's what I did to fix it. And they got mad at me. Like, people would get angry with me with some of the stuff I would say, and I go, I'm not trying to put you down. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm just saying I've had that problem. Now I don't have that problem, and here's what I did differently. And people got upset with me. And I couldn't understand it. It really bothered me, because I go, I'm trying to help. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, make anybody feel bad. But then I realized that for me, they are where I was. In that back in the day, I was good at what I did. I was good at it. I'm still pretty good at it, I think. But, and I know I was good at it, because I would have like When the pastor of the church sees you do a kids ministry and they come up to you and go, that was amazing. It's great for the ego. It makes you feel really good, but then it kind of makes you immune to criticism.
Oh, okay.
It makes you like, wow, do you know who you're talking to? I'm the kids minister. I'm the man.
I've been doing this for 30 years.
I've been doing this 30 years. And I think I needed to break out of that and go, okay, let's back up. Can I do better? And I think that's where I think we all need to be. I've said it to our team at the church. I've said, just because you ran out of ideas doesn't mean God ran out of ideas. You're great. God's better. And so there's always a better way than, no matter how good you are now, you have not reached the limit of what God wants to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so I started saying, I said some things deliberately because I knew it would get people's goat. And once I learned people got mad at the stuff I said.
Oh, so you was being tongue-in-cheek?
A little bit. I kind of,
The troll part of Marty came out?
I did tell somebody one time they were having a hard time in getting their kids to engage with the Bible lesson. And I told them, set something on fire. And they went, what? I said, just walk up on stage in front of your kids and light a fire. Just anything.
I just want to say on the camera, this has happened.
This is
I'm a volunteer. I can guarantee this has happened.
And I said, I promise whatever they're doing, no matter how distracted, whatever, they will stop doing it and look at you and go, why are you starting a fire? Now, here's the trick though. Once you have their attention, you better have something to say.
Yes.
Something that they want to pay attention to. It's not just about getting their attention. You better have something that means something at that point. But I had somebody say to me one time, very angry at me as a forum, and they said, I know how to do kids ministry. I don't need advice on how to do kids ministry. I said, okay, all right. You're the one who came and wanted a solution to a problem you're having. I said, I was just offering my advice. And they said this sentence. They said, I have a very successful kids ministry. To which I responded, how do you know? I mean, really, you say you have a successful kids ministry. Okay, define success for me. Give me a working definition. When you say successful, what does that mean? And so, and he, went on and on. But I asked it in several forums, just kind of a blanket question, see how people respond. I got a lot of answers of what makes a successful kids ministry. And most of them were pretty good. Some of them were a little, most of them were good answers. But the thing that bothered me was that they were all different.
See, this is the question I have for you, off the camera. So, do we have to have all the same one? Does definition of, for example, success here is the same one from New York, right?
Yes and no. Let me explain. If you, and I think I have one of my short videos, I talk about this. I said, if you had a football team, and I asked you how to know if your football team was successful, what would you say? How do you measure success in a football team?
You win.
You win games.
Yeah.
Now, there's all kinds of little things you do. Now, how you achieve that, those were all the different, each football team uses different sort of coaching techniques and ways to do that. But there is a bottom line you're aiming for. In most things in life, I talked about if you're looking for a doctor.
Yeah.
Now, obviously you want the hospital with the nicest facilities and the best staff and all that. But at the end of the day, you want the doctor whose patients get better. There's a bottom line you're aiming for. How they get there are all great, but at some point, in business, I have a degree in business as well as my master's of divinity, and they teach you in business. There's a bottom line in business, which is, does your business make money? Doesn't matter what else you do well. If your business doesn't make any money, everything else, kind of rises or falls on. If you lose money as a business,
you're kind of out of business.
But you're done. Your business is going to quit. And so there has to be a bottom line. I think there can be different approaches to achieve that bottom line.
Okay.
And obviously it's not always very easy to do cut and dry. But I would say that the bottom line in kids ministry specifically, pretty much any ministry, however you want to word it, has to involve two elements. Jesus Christ and the real lived life of the children you're ministering to. We want to get these two things in conjunction. The way we say it here at Crossover has a vision statement, which now that I'm on camera and I have to say it, I've said it 1,000 times, but of course now that have to say it on the camera, I'll probably mess it up. But our mission is to see Jesus Christ, see people discover, develop, and display Jesus Christ in every area of their life. That's how we say it at Crossover. That's the main adult church's vision statement. So our vision statement for the kids ministry is the same thing, just with children inserted. Our vision is to see Jesus Christ, to see children. You do this on camera sometimes. It's not easy. Is to see children discover, develop, and display Jesus Christ in every area of their life. Now, you may word it differently, but the element that matters is them having a relationship with Jesus, equipping them to have that relationship. Okay. We'll talk a little more about what that means. And in their real lived life, which means their life when they're not in this building or in the ministry, when they actually go home and they're at school, that Jesus is still a part of their life there. We're equipping them.
Jesus is not their savior just on Sunday.
Right, exactly. Yeah, not like some grown-ups we know. Anyway, and so I think that however you want to word that, however works best for your ministry, that has to be the bottom line. If it's not Jesus in their real lived life, then what are we doing? I mean, really, like if that's not the goal, then are we just putting on a nice show for the kids to keep them busy while the grown-ups have church?
Are we running a daycare?
Yeah, are we running a daycare? Which I know, if any children's ministers watching this, I felt all of the children's ministers and teachers cringe when I said that.
That was a no-no word?
About daycare. Yeah, we don't say daycare. That's not a thing. Because nobody, nobody wants their children's ministry to be a babysitting service. Nobody. And I agree with that. I think we need to, so what is our bottom line? I think that there needs to be a bottom line of we're trying to equip children to be believers in and followers of Jesus Christ in their everyday life outside of here. Now, however you want to word that, we use the discover, develop, display. We call it the 3D model. But each church is different, however you want to word it. Now, how you get there, that's where things get interesting, and you get to put some personality and flair in. Okay. In business, they would call it KPI.
Yes.
Key performance indicators. And that has to do with customer satisfaction and marketing and,
retention is there too.
Yeah, employee retention. And so I think you could translate that into customers would be your kids and families. Do they like your church? Do they want to come in? Your volunteers, we call them activators here at this church, but do your volunteers get along? Do they like what they're doing? Are you equipping them? Are they feel satisfied? Do they quit every 5? Are you getting new volunteers every 3 months because everybody's quitting because they can't, employee retention? So things like that I think are also important, but those are sort of secondary. They're how you get to the bottom line. Now here's what's important about that is if you have no definition for success, you can't say you're a success. Do you understand? Like if there's no definable, measurable thing to go, this is how we know we're successful, then you can't say you're successful. If there's no win condition, if there's no points in the game, you can't win the game.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so you have to start with a definition of this is what a win looks like in this ministry. This is what we're aiming for. What I noticed the people that I interacted with, and I can't really fault them because I would have done the same thing, is they gave the answer based on where they thought they were already doing really well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The kids' ministries that had a lot of kids that came to their ministry said, well, we're successful, but we have a lot of children. The kids' ministries where their team got along really, really well and their volunteers all were really engaged and super active, that was our bottom line is all of our volunteers really love it here and get along great and do great. Now, those are all good things, but they're not really the bottom line of what we're trying to do. My kids have a really great time and really enjoy church. I personally think that's an amazing thing. But is that really why we're here, to entertain necessarily? Because they can get entertainment at home on TV in a video game.
Yeah.
So I think that each approach is different, but there has to be a measurement for success. So let me ask you, with your children's ministry, how do you define success?
So my thing is like if we develop a KPI, right? Like we are here to like plant the seeds, but we can't. It's hard to count the apples in the seed. That's God's part, right?
Right.
So how do we?
Well, that's why I talked about the word equip. Obviously, the Bible is very clear: some plant, some water. God gives the increase.
Yeah.
That at some point it's between the child and God that have their own, God, that interaction, which we all we can do is plant the seed, all we can do is water the seed, but at some point God has to do his thing. So that part of it, we're kind of out of the loop.
Okay.
God has to do that part. Our part is to plant the seed, is to equip them. Does that make sense? And so the results aren't necessarily on us. I think that's where I messed up when getting so disheartened when I saw a lot of the kids that were not doing well. But my question was not, it's not my job to get them saved, but it is my job to equip them, to teach them, to give them the tools to plant the seed. You know what I mean? Now, as to what kind of ground they are, the Bible parable about the 4 different types of ground, thorny ground, there's nothing we can do about that. My job is to plant the seed. But you start questioning, did I do it right? You know what I mean? And I think that's a question that we should all be asking, because I don't want to get too, super spiritual. But one day we're going to look God in the face. He's going to ask us, did we do, were we faithful with what he gave us to do? And I think it's important that we at least had the sense to ask ourselves the hard questions. And at least say, God, I did the best I could with what you gave me to do.